All right. So I want to welcome everybody to the session today. We're in COMM 208, Introduction to Media Production. We've talked a lot in this class about jobs, and this morning we talked about why we're here. And we had heard from each of you in the class about your motivations for being in college and why you might be taking COMM 208 to learn about production and practice your skills. It's been wonderful 2 weeks so far, but we're just starting. So I talked with the attendees today who are David, Ricky, held also in finding opportunities for themselves, production work. And when they got the opportunities, they've just done some amazing, incredible things. So these are three students who have really applied themselves, and they want to share with you their experiences and their tips and things. So this is going to be a really cool session, I think. It should take about an hour, but if we do need more time, I think all three are available to hang around a little bit longer if needed. But these are also connections that are going to be important for you all outside of school too. So I'm really happy that you're getting the chance to meet them today because your paths might cross soon, actually, as we might come to find out. But I don't want to take too much time. I want to go ahead and actually kick it over to our first pair who has a question for us. So can you all open your camera and mic and go ahead and ask your question? And I think we'll just follow the order that we have on Zoom for now. So Ricky, if you wouldn't mind speaking first, and then Gabby, and then David. So if we can hear each of your responses to this question.
Hi, I'm Nicole, and our question is, can you explain your internship or job search process, and when did you begin, and where did you look, and what sorts of jobs were you applying for?
So my internship search process was just pretty much just look everywhere and anywhere. So I had a summer internship, and then I have an internship now still at NASA. And what I did was just back in January, I used Handshake and just applied to literally everything I could. I looked on anything that kind of interested me, and space and all that has always been a big interest to me. So I took a risk. I was like, hey, I'll apply there. And the first time I applied, I got rejected, and then which was last year, and then I ended up applying to that and getting it, and kind of surprising myself with that. But basically, I just looked anywhere and everywhere, and just like if you have anything that kind of interests you, if you like, if I'm sure you're in media production class, if you like filming, photography, podcasting, or anything, look to any place that has some kind of internship program available and just shoot your shot, apply. Like I applied at Series, I applied at um National Geographic, I applied at PBS, I applied at the Smithsonian, and it just so happens the one I got was at NASA. So the ones I applied to was basically anything communication related, which was my degree, communication with focus on media production. If they had anything related to media production or anything that I did that was, you know, communication based, I just applied, and that's what I did for when I was at NASA. I just looked at they had the Pathways program and the STEM program. So if any of you guys want to try to apply for that, I just looked on anything communication related, and just applied. I think I ended up applying over like 40 to 60 internships overall, just to try and get something. And what I ended up landing on was a communication related thing at NASA, and I was like, I never thought I'd get that. So when I shot my shot, I was like, oh, you need engineering or science or tech background, all those STEM backgrounds. And I ended up getting something. I was surprised myself. And I worked at the commercialization department, where we work with people to kind of create friendships for NASA. That's the way I describe it. It's like NASA needed friends, we gave them friends, which was, if you think of SpaceX and NASA working together, that's what they did. But then what I ended up doing while there was networking a bunch, and ended up meeting with people that work in the media production side of NASA, ended up doing some voiceover for them, ended up meeting people from the podcast stuff. And so, I mean, what you got to do is just literally just get a decent resume. Have Lance look over your resume because he looked over my resume. He's part of the reason why I got that NASA internship. And just make it look pretty and just throw it everywhere. If you think like, oh, I'll never get hired there, or no, that it does my resume is not good enough. So what? Let them decide that. Just throw them your resume, be like, look it over. Maybe you'll like it. So I hope that answered your question.
All right, that was great, Ricky. Thank you so much. Gabby and David, can you summarize for us a little bit about your search process?
Yeah, definitely. So, hey guys, I'm Gabby. Similar to Ricky, I went to any in everywhere, but I mostly went to Handshake. And the thing is, right, because communications is obviously huge. That's something I learned immediately, is that it's so broad. And I think that's why Mason has us pick out concentrations like media, journalism, all of that. And for me, when I went on Handshake, I specifically kind of filtered out communications, media, DC, full-time in the filters. And I still got a lot of results, but at least it was a little bit more narrow. I think my process was a little bit more, instead of what companies do I want to apply to, what do I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis in my internship? So I wanted to do a little bit of video, a little bit of graphic design. I love graphic design as well. Production, obviously. And once I really realized what I wanted to do in my internship, that helped me kind of filter out what like company I would want to apply for. So I landed an internship at CoStar Group, which is actually a commercial real estate firm. No, I had no idea I was gonna do, commercial real estate, but they had everything I wanted to do at that internship, and the pay was phenomenal. So that's a little bit of my process. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's great to hear everybody's experience so far. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of experiences drop in my lap. But the reason why is I made sure to put myself in the right places. So two of my jobs I got just by showing up to job fairs that Mason held, and just by, showing up, trying to look presentable, and approaching any booth that might be somewhat interesting to my field. I was able to get a job and an internship right on campus. And the whole process took me about, 2 hours, which is probably a lot less time than it takes to drudge through going online. So if I could give just one piece of advice to walk away from today, is just make sure that you can put yourself in a where things are going on and how to be useful to places. Because if you have a recruiter that says, hey, we want to do XYZ, you say, oh, well, I took this class and I got to focus on this, all of a sudden you're going to be on the top of their list. So that is something that I would hope could be really useful to you. But also what's fun was, so Ricky, I also have an interest in space. I worked at the Air and Space Museum. That was the first job I got on campus just because they were there, and having some background knowledge made me really useful. So the job had really nothing to do with the degree. It was really just teaching people about aerospace concepts. But just because I had an interest in a certain topic and an ability to communicate with people, we get to apply those classes to work. I got the job. So that was a really good opportunity for me. But as far as the job process goes, Handshake is really useful. I would also say LinkedIn, especially for internships. There's other websites like Indeed and ZipRecruiter, but if you're looking to do an internship, I would also make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date, and because there's going to be a lot of job opportunities there. So just, kind of put it out there. You don't have to put your heart into each application. Just have a good basis kind of, boilerplate template that you can make a couple tweaks to, so that that you're applying to the right company. And that should really get you going. So I hope that's really useful.
For our next question, how did you filter out the results that you got from all these applications? And how did you deal with any application fatigue from applying to a lot of places?
I'll be honest, I got rejected from literally every internship I applied to. So it kind of filtered out the process for me. So I didn't have to do anything until I got an email from my internship, and they're like, we want you. And I was like, that makes all that rejection feel a whole lot better now. But to get over fatigue, you kind of just have to put yourself in the mindset of like, um, this is life. You kind of just have to go through it and do it, and just see that you have to put hope in that the work that you're putting in will have a result in at the end of the road, and just kind of keep reminding yourself of that. Because like I said, I mentioned I applied to like 40 or 60 internships and got rejected from literally all of them except for one. And so you just kind of have to keep reminding yourself like this is gonna be worth it. And if I don't get anything, then I'll just start all over and do it all over again. And just try and, talk to people and just like let them know what you're going through and stuff, and let them kind of help motivate you too. Like I was talking to my friends, like, dude, I'm applying to so many internships. I'm getting so sick of this. And they're like, yeah, well, you know what? You just got to keep going at it. And you're like, you know what? You're right. Damn it. All right. I'll just keep applying. So that's kind of how I got over that fatigue.
Yeah, similar to Ricky, I definitely got rejected from plenty of places. And I think, well, to answer the first question, I filtered out again by just putting, communications, media. It's like keywords, really. Communications, media, design, creative is a big word as well. But once I did get rejected from a few places, for me, I think knowing my self-worth was a huge advantage, knowing that, you know what, I'm a great creative. I am still learning, but I know my talents, I know my skills. Somebody out there is gonna hire me. Somebody has to, you know what I mean? So yeah, similar to what Ricky was saying, I think don't be discouraged. Keep on applying. Somebody out there, whoever gets you, even if it's multiple people and you have a basket to choose from, anybody is great. So don't be discouraged by everybody else. It's their loss. So yeah, that's what I would have to say.
Yeah. So one thing that was really useful for me is just varying your search. So if you're ever trying to do research for like a paper, you always have to, change the wording a little bit, get those keywords. So if you just drop in video, you're going to get a whole bunch of sources. So, decide, do I want to be on kind of the social media team making, TikTok style videos? Not me, but plenty of other people, that's what they want to do. Or do you want to do more, higher end production where you're doing less videos, but you're spending a little bit more time crafting it? So you can kind of browse the job description. You'll know pretty quickly if this is a job or an internship you want to apply to. So, it's okay to be picky. There's a lot of jobs out there. You will get turned down a lot. It is a numbers game. So you might have to get 20, 30, 50 applications, and it's likely to get one or two answers back. It's really nothing against you. There's just a lot of people, and people are looking for a right fit. So just like, they probably might get 100 applicants for a role, you have the right to be picky too, to see what jobs that you want to do. But really just, vary the search, try to find what keywords that they're looking for, but decide what topics that you want to focus on, and just play around with that. And I think that's going to be the best source to it, but it does get tiring. One thing I would recommend if you're just feeling kind of like you're dragging your knuckles on the ground is talk to other people, because everyone else is in the same boat as you. That's a great opportunity to brainstorm. Maybe you can compare resumes, just kind of chat things out. You'll probably find that someone else has come across some neat ideas that maybe you didn't think about. So just talk with your peers, join a club, groups. That's a good way to get over it as well.
Good afternoon. So our question was, how do you recommend preparing for your interviews?
This is kind of a funny question for me because luckily I didn't have to interview for my first internship. I just got it. But the second one I did have to interview. But the thing I would say to prepare for your interview is make sure you know what you're applying for, Make sure you have the opportunity to ask questions about the industry that you're in. Don't just go up and be like, oh, so what are you guys doing here? I'm new. I was like, no. Make sure that you are smart enough to be like, oh, so this is your company. I see you do this, this, and that. It's like, I like that you guys do X, Y, and Z. And make sure you also prepare, like, be able to put your self-worth on a plate and be like, this is what I have. These are my talents. This is what I can apply to. And just make yourself appear knowledgeable, even if you have to fake it till you make it type of stuff. Just, and also be yourself. Don't be like fake or, try and be someone you're not, but do put yourself on good standing. Let them know what talents you have, what experience you have, and ask them questions about like, oh, what's the work environment here like? And just anything that shows that you have some kind of interest, some professionalism, and also, let your personality shine.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Definitely doing your homework is key, doing research on the company. But since Ricky already covered that part, the second thing I was gonna say was actually don't stress too much about the interview. Because if you do and you actually like rehearse your answers and like, okay, so guys, that kind of thing, you actually lose yourself a little bit in it. I find that when I'm going into an interview, I love the kind of like what we're doing right now. I love the conversational flow because that way you can see in the actual office space if we vibe well together, if the workflow, if we're getting along very well, instead of hi, I'm Gabrielle, and of course still hi, I'm Gabrielle, but a little calm, a little bit calm with it. But yeah, do your homework, and also you're interviewing them as well. They're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. So like Ricky said, ask them questions about salary and about what they can bring in your life, in your career life as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so getting ready for an interview is definitely can be a lot more stressful than you might want it to be because it's a lot different than I think what we're used to in school. So, for an exam, you have to get ready for, certain things, but an interview is going to be a lot different. So I'd say number one, try to look the part. So, guys, always wear a button-down shirt, even if it's a Zoom interview. You just want to show that you're taking yourself more seriously. Ladies, you get a lot more choices, but you want to put that, professional look. It just shows, hey, I'm here to get the work, get some work done. But also, it's okay to psych yourself up. You don't need to kind of, make a big deal about it. But if you have that awesome song that pumps you up before a workout, throw that on, within an hour. Do something to help you relax. That way you're coming in feeling good about it because, Gabby's right. When you want to, first introduce yourself, shake your hand, you want to feel good coming in. So make sure that you're in that right headspace. Also, doing research is going to be really important. You want to show the company that you're interested in them. So even if it's just highlighting some terms on the job description or going on their website and going on the About Us page, if you can bring up some terms that seems to be interested to them, it shows that it's going to show them that your values align with theirs because they're interviewing you and they want to make sure, hey, is this guy going to be a good fit for us? And then lastly, make sure that you ask questions, even if there's some basic boilerplate ones. If the interview is done, they're always going to give you an opportunity to ask some questions. And if you just say, I don't know, it just immediately loses confidence. So just make sure you have some basic questions. And this is kind of your opportunity to figure out, hey, are these guys, good, or are there going to be any red flags? So, find what some things that you want to know about the company is. And give them an opportunity to explain themselves so that way you're both on the same page.
Hi there. Our question is, what are some skills you learned on the job that weren't taught in school?
Networking. I think that's the most important skill that you should start working on absolutely right now, is just how important networking is. Like I said, I was in the commercialization office for my summer internship, but I networked my way to finding where the media production side of NASA was and such, and be able to talk to all those big wigs and things. And just even, I don't know. I think that's it, really. Just the main skill I'm learning working in a professional workplace is how absolutely important networking is, because the more people you know, the more your face is out there, the more opportunity you gain, and just the more life's going to be a lot easier for you. And if you just kind of like a stick in the mud, just of someone going about your day with your head down, you're not going to get very far at all. And I would say that apply that to school right now. It's something I tried to do really hard while I was there. And, I networked with Lance, your professor, a couple other people, still keep in touch with them. And it's just going to give you a lot more opportunity, I believe.
I would say time management. Goodness gracious, time management. And I know in college, we're still very about that anyway. Like, oh yeah, you wake up, make sure you have time for your homework. But on campus, you have a little bit of that luxury of, asking your professors for an extended period of time. You can go to Starbucks and go to Panera Bread a little bit, kind of chill out. But when you're in the office and they say, Gabrielle, I need this by June 7th, by 2:00 p.m. Gotcha. I have to do it. And I think the benefit for me at CoStar Group, at the company I worked for, they treated me like not even like I was an intern, like I was one of the employees there, which was kind of fun, actually. It was great. So, but time management for sure. Getting deadlines in, making sure you meet those deadlines. And yeah, definitely time management.
Gabby is definitely right about time management. So on my senior year, this is something I did have to learn at school because I was working 2 jobs, had an internship, and was going to school full time. Plan your time in advance. So since it's the first couple of weeks of the semester, figure out what all of your assignments are going to be due, when they're going to, and when you're going to be busy, and just get in the habit of blocking out your time. Because especially if you're doing larger scale video projects, these can take weeks or even a month to get done, and just practicing those skills now while you have kind of lower stakes and can really be useful for you. But Ricky also mentioned, he's kind of defining what soft skills are. Soft skills are really things that you can really learn now, but will always be sharpening over time. So networking is really important. But one thing you can really do is just go to the Career Center at school. They have some fantastic resources. And if you want to use them to help you find that internship, go to that resume clinic, help you interview if you're nervous, being put on the spot. These are definitely some things that you can still practice now that you will continue to develop once you're in the workplace.
So our question was, what's it like working in an office environment? For example, the similarities and differences to college and group work.
I will say it's honestly better, especially because when everyone is there, at least in my environment, everyone is there trying to work towards a goal bigger than themselves. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to contribute. And there's plenty of times in school, I'm sure you guys have been with group work, there's always one person that drags their feet, who's only there in college because they're told to, they don't want to be there. That's not the same here at NASA. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to contribute. And so things actually get done, which is nice to see. People actually have accountability and responsibility and say, like, kind of like how Gabby mentioned, like time management. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I have this thing due by then. I'll make sure it's there to you. And it's kind of surprising to be like, oh, they actually did their assignment, their half the assignment to contribute for me to actually as a deliverable. And I'd say while you're in college, try and be that person in your group or anything, give it give in your deliverables, turn your stuff in on time. And then that's kind of what the professional work environment is like. I think it's way better than it is in college because, like I said, everyone wants to be there.
I think, when you're in college, you walk into the classroom and everybody's on the same level. Like, no matter if, especially media, no matter if you have a little bit more skill than this person or you think you can bring something different in your group project, everybody in college is in the same level. But when you're in an internship, you are technically at the bottom. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's just that you have the least experience, but you do have a full team. At least you should check to make sure you should, because that's important. But you should have a full team of people who are supportive of you and who are like, yes, you're an intern, but you're here because you do have talent and we're here to support you. But yeah, I liked it a lot too. It was so fun. I had a great time being around, being at my own desk and, having my own supplies and things. So fun. But yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's definitely a big change because if you're just living on campus, you get really used to a big, complex. But sometimes if you just physically, the surroundings can be different. So one of my internships was a really nice office building, but everyone wanted to work remotely. So it was really just me, my boss, a couple coworkers, and the CEO. And pretty much everyone else in every other department, they were like, I'll just gonna, hang out on my couch. So there's definitely a little bit of difference, just, kind of locationally. But luckily, like everyone else mentioned, everyone should really be there to support you. If they want to have an intern, they want someone to get some work done, and they want to help you with that craft, because if they're not a terrible person, they know exactly what it's like to be in your shoes, and they're going to want to help you out. So it is definitely a difference, but this is also an opportunity for you to start asking questions, because unlike school, you're not going to get a syllabus. You're not going to get like a rubric to show you what is a good job. They might have some guidelines for you, but especially in the video world, they say, hey, I want a video. You're the expert. You know things. You make this do it for us. Or we have this other project. Can you do something just like that? So making sure that you're asking questions, saying, here is what I can do. Here's an example of something. Do you want to do this? Making sure that you're on the same page for your project. So that way, when they give you a task, you can make sure that you're giving them what you want. Because I think the biggest difference is that with school, we have kind of come to know what what work feels like. It's just a lot of assignments, kind of weekly activities. And in the kind of the professional world, it's very different. Projects can go, for weeks. You might get something, hey, can you just shoot this back to me in 10 minutes? No big deal. But a lot of projects are going to be longer term, and you need to make sure that you know what you're working on. So asking those questions, you're not being a burden. It shows that you're being kind of that good noodle.
Hello. So our question is, how did taking production classes in college prepare you for the workplace?
That's a good one. I think it just kind of gave you a lot of skills to put in your tool belt, just to be like a lot of stuff to put on your resume. And I think that kind of really helped me a lot too, because I took a couple classes, and not a lot of people know this, but these projects you can put them on your resume, which really helped out. Like I'm sure Lance has mentioned that you guys are going to do that freelance video project. Put that on your resume. They'll look at that. I think that's part of the reason why I got things. I was Lance's teaching assistant for one semester. I put that on my resume. And I think that really helped a lot for people to see that, like, okay, he was actually doing stuff in school. He's just not putting nothing on there. And I think all the production classes just really help you build your resume in a way, if you're smart enough to put everything on there, will make you seem much more valuable and much more give you utility and such, to show that you are worthy of an internship or a place in the workplace and such. So take your production classes seriously. Put some effort into them, because you can use it in your portfolio and show people on your resume. Be like, yeah, I can do this stuff. I know things. And even if you don't know how to do it when you get into your internship or your job, you have an understanding of how to, work from the bottom up. So just work hard, and use that to your advantage with your production classes.
I love this question. I would say my answer is that production classes teach you how to have vision. I learned my style of video and my style of even graphic design and just aesthetic and what I like, my own spin on certain things in production classes. So an example, right? Let's say Professor Schmeidler is like, hey guys, here's the prompt for the week. I want each of you to create a video about dancing fruit, right? Okay, we're all going to create a video about dancing fruit, peaches, mangoes, oranges, whatever you want. But Gabby's is going to be a lot different than Ricky's and David's as well. Why? Because we each have a different vision. And when you walk in the internship, you're going up against different candidates who are all going to be doing the same work. But what's different about me is that my take is different on this video, or my style is different, and that might work for that company better. So you get to learn, who you are as a videographer, who you are as a brainstormer, different things like that. So vision is key. Yes.
Gabby, you really that's exactly right, because you're always going to have kind of your flavor of what you want to do, or maybe what you're good at. So for me, I'm really good at kind of the technical side. So if I know exactly what camera I need to use, what lens I want, how to get the lighting, the audio, that is easy peasy for me. But sometimes when it comes to like the scripting, the story, not my best part. So that is where, if you're doing team projects, working with those, working with people is a great way to figure out how to take what you're good at and then grow the places that you want to grow with. Because in the creative field, you have a lot of flexibility with how to make a good product for your projects or your employers, using the strengths that you have. So this is a great opportunity to figure out what you're good at, what you want to get better at, and then maybe what areas that you need to start, sharpening up on. But if anything, this is also a good place just to kind of practice those skills, because I think for you guys, I think you're going to have to do kind of like an explainer video where you're going to have to teach like an instructional piece. I believe I did that when I took 208. And I think that took us maybe 2-3 weeks. I don't know if, Gabby and Ricky, if you took that class. It took a long time to make that going. And the product was good, but certainly not as good as what I can do right now. But it got me, got my foot in the door. I had to do a video like that recently. I did the whole video in about an afternoon, and I edited it, the same day. And I was able to do it so quickly and so much better because I got more comfortable starting things. So if you feel like, I don't know where I'm going to be using this is your time to figure out what you want to be good at and how to get better at it. Because really this is, if you do sports, these are the drills, this is the boring stuff to get you started, and then you can really get that momentum going.
Hi. If this isn't your first job or internship, how do you know when to move on to the next one?
You know what? This is my first internship. Well, I'm on my second internship, but it's still at NASA. So maybe not the best question for me because I haven't moved on yet. But I will say I enjoyed my first internship a lot. Today's my first day of my second internship. And I think I may have to move on towards the end of it because we're working on site stuff and WordPress things, which doesn't really speak to my strong suits of knowing how to do media production, audio stuff. So there may be a possibility where I may move on from this just because I know it's not speaking to me. It's not making my it's not giving me that creative itch. It's not letting me use that kind of like that vision that Gabby was saying on. So maybe that answers the question, maybe it doesn't, but yeah, that's a tough one for me to answer. So I'll pass on.
For me, it's kind of funny a little bit, kind of like sad, but not really sad, just kind of funny. But I didn't get a job offer at the very end. Everybody got an offer at the end of their internship saying, hey, we want you right back here. For me, I did not get that. And that is okay. And the reason why is because at CoStar Group, that is a very kind of what Ricky was saying with like STEM and tech dominated. These people are making, or I guess coding, I don't know the word, but coding data for real estate, apartments, all those different things. And the creative marketing team, it was very small. It was very, very small. And I'm so glad that they were expanding. I was their first intern, but the very top dogs, the very CEOs, they had a very flat line of their creative vision. Oh, Arial font, just black and blue, we're good. And for me, I had so much fire, and I was even speaking up for myself. Another thing to do, I was speaking up for myself when I was like, hey, I think we should actually go this route, yada, yada. And they're, oh no, we're just like this. Thank God for I produced a video highlighting the internship experience. It was like throughout the whole East Coast. It was great. But they allowed me to have creative expression and vision there because it was advertising the internship program. But if I were to come back, black, blues, Arial font, and that was it. And there was a mutual agreement between my mentors and I and my manager that my fire for creativity may have belonged somewhere else. And that is okay. That is perfectly fine. I wasn't sad about it. I mean, I was sad because I had great friendships and bonds with people, but for me, it made sense. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so I've had a little bit more work experience than I guess some of you. So I graduated in 2021. So I had a couple internships and I got some, real work experience under the belt. And you will know after a while how well you're matching with that job. So it might not be a perfect fit. It might be a horrible fit, or maybe you're just, not, almost a perfect fit. But after a while, you're going to notice that the things that your boss wants you to do might not match what you think is right or were the things that you want to do. So I had an internship at a kind of like a software development agency. So they made really high-end websites for large companies, and I loved working with them. They were great folks, but they really wanted a marketing guy. The videos I made for them were fun, but they were really wanted to de-emphasize the focus on video and just do marketing stuff. And that's what they needed, but it's not really what I needed, for my career. So they actually offered me a position to stay with them full time. But I was like, I really appreciate that offer, but what you guys want isn't exactly what I want. I want to kind of, follow my path. But the good news is, they are, they're very appreciative of my work, and I can still maintain that relationship with them now. And if I ever need a favor or a recommendation, someone, a reference, they're always going to be there for my back. So if you feel like what you want to do isn't exactly what they're asking of you, that's probably going to be your, the hint for you to go. But even if it's not exactly what you want, that's okay too. Work's not supposed to be that much fun. As long as it feels like you're doing something that you can manage, then that's okay too. But it doesn't hurt to start looking for that next internship, that next job while you're working there, just because you want to have your options open. And if, Gabby, it stinks that you didn't move that, to get that job, but it sounds like it was probably, the right next step for you. So having a head start for that, on that is going to make that transition a lot easier. And of course, I'm sure any decent job is going to be happy to give you those references, maybe even connect you with someone else that might get you your foot in the door. So if you feel like things aren't perfect, just say, it's okay to take that next step, because you're not going to, have a 40-year career at the same company.
What has been your biggest surprise or success so far?
My biggest surprise is I think that I am actually valuable to a company, that I'm valuable to people, that my word and my work is actually meaningful and people actually appreciate it. And I'm like, holy crap, like I'm worth something. People care about me. And it's kind of a really weird feeling to kind of sit with that for a little bit. But that, it was really surprising to me. And I think like my biggest success overall is, I think, using my personality as a tool to be able to engage with a lot of people. And I've said this before, and network with people to get myself into a little bit more media related stuff at NASA in my first internship, where I was able to do some voiceovers and I was able to write some scripts for some videos that are going to come out later this year, and some other voiceover videos I did. And that was really, it felt really good knowing that I contributed to something bigger than me. And not only that I contributed, but the people actually appreciated my work and were like, hey, Ricky, you did a good job. And I did? Well, that's new. But that's probably what it'd be for me.
I think for me, because I worked in a more like techie dominated industry, that some tech industries don't exactly value creativity as much as they should. Or to go on with what David was saying, marketing as well, creative marketing, basically. That was something I noticed for sure. Just, of course, again, Arial font, the blacks, the blues, stuff like that. But I think as time progresses and we get more creatives out there, they'll place that higher in the hierarchy, hoping for that. But my biggest success was definitely producing a video, a not only just a video for the company, but a video that was recognized across the whole East and West Coast, I believe. That was so cool, and I was so thankful for that opportunity. So yeah, that was a lot of fun for sure.
So I guess we're all still young in our career, so I don't have that big, like, amazing failure to write home about. I'm sure it'll come later, but I'm not looking forward to it. But mistakes certainly do happen. But if anything, this is going to be that learning moment, because of course we've all had those cringy mistakes that we can't believe that we did that. But looking back, it's probably no one else is going to remember it as badly as you. So just, if you are afraid of making mistakes, this is your time to do it. But as far as the biggest surprise, I mean, Ricky's absolutely right. You get to be part of some really big projects, especially if you're for a bigger company. But even if you're working for a smaller company, I've worked for, big companies and small. Small companies are always going to be part of a larger industry, and they might just be a small piece of something big. And that can be really rewarding. But also, companies are in the business of doing things. So it's possible that you might think you did an awesome job at something. You have a fantastic idea. Like, Gabby, you're right. Arial black and blue is not the look that everyone should be using. But it's okay to sell that idea to someone, even if they are adamant that they don't need it. It's like, well, hold on. If you can, I would really love, 5-10 minutes, kind of put a presentation together to show you what this could look like and what our competitors are doing, because I think this would be great. And then it would, if we build a brand kit or something, it just speeds everything else up if we just put that together. So even if they don't love your idea, at least you can feel good that you were in the right and that you put your best foot forward. So that's probably something that can be really useful. But also sometimes you're gonna be working with people who have no idea what you do. So I had to do a video project. I was recording a big event, and I said, hey, my camera doesn't have a 4-hour battery life. Can we buy some supplies, like just a big battery, so that I can work with it? And they were like, I don't really think we need that, because we're just going to do that once. And I was like, well, do you want the video to last longer than 4 hours? So get creative. So I was able to use a camera that you can plug in and charge it while you're using it. So I said, well, how about we buy some power cords and we just run a power cord to the camera? And that was something they were willing to do. And it works. And then when you have those moments in the interview would say, hey, when was a time where something didn't work out? You had a disagreement with someone. How did you get around it? Now you get to tell that story. Hey, I wanted X. They said no. I came up with Y, and now we have a good solution. So something like that is always going to be good, because really, when you go to those interviews, they're going to say, hey, how did you fix a problem? Because life and work is full of them. They want to see your problem solving skills. So even if things don't go right, push back a little bit. Ask for that opportunity to make your point, because it's going to help you with your job, and it'll give you those stories to show that next job, that next step, that you can solve problems.
Hello. Our question is, what is your biggest failure so far, and how have you overcome that?
That's a tough question, because I kind of like what David was saying, not a lot of experience to really have like some kind of failure, like, oh no, I crashed a ship or something like that. But I would say my biggest failure would probably be more of like a personal thing. Mine would be giving into my anxiety and comparing myself to others along the work field is probably my biggest failure. Like I mentioned, I'm based at a Goddard Space Field, so I was one of 44 interns there, and did a I did a no-no, and I compared myself to all of them, because like I said, I was the only one there without a STEM degree. I was the only person there with a communications degree. At the end of the internship, we all had to give presentations, and there was some guy who worked on a quantum clock synchronization. One guy who was working on quantum dots, and I was like, I did some commercialization, but I had to remember to overcome that. Is just in those moments you kind of have to let yourself feel those. Let your emotions have that moment. Be like, okay, you know what, you are sad for a reason, but then have compassion for yourself, and then to get out of it, change the perspective. Be like, holy crap, I'm the only communication person here out of all these STEM people here. I applied, and hundreds of people applied, and no, I got it. And what I had to do to combat my anxieties, make my anxiety work for me instead of against me, and use that to push you forward, and just do your best and try and make sure you actually, put in an effort. And that's how I did that.
I have a big failure that comes to mind. I didn't ask for help like I should have. I think when we're in this society that's very be independent, just be you, or even don't listen to everybody, or make it out for yourself. It's only you against the world. What a lie that is, guys. If you don't ask for help, I think you're already setting yourself up for failure. For me, a little kind of going on the personal side, like Ricky did, for me, I had a little bit of fear of being critiqued too much. And I did receive some critiques, but really they were just feedback. I have to get feedback in order to grow. And that's something I had to be reassured of. And so I wouldn't ask for help too much. I'd like, no, I got it. And I wasn't good, because then deadlines are coming up and something needs to be fixed and I didn't speak up on it. And now they're like, Gabby, why didn't you ask for help? And I'm like, oh, I just thought and so, but it was a learning lesson. Like Ricky said, have grace and compassion on yourself for sure. And there's freedom in asking for help. So yes, absolutely. Oh, and ask your professor for help too. Okay, done.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, asking your professor for help is definitely going to be a good way to get practice asking your boss or whoever else for help. Because I think I might have touched on this earlier, but you might not know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, especially if you're, the new kid on the block. It's a new company, you're doing new types of work. So asking just for help, or say, hey, what's your opinion on doing this? Because that way you can, it shows what you're working on. And then that's an opportunity to, start bouncing some ideas around. So that might be my suggestion. Now, I had a little cheat sheet earlier, so I might have jumped ahead on my biggest failure and how to get around it. So, I guess that would still stand. But yeah, mistakes happen. It's a learning experience. Just make sure that you know how to better yourself from it.
What words of advice do you have for current college students?
Put in effort and network. I think those are probably the biggest things. Just really try while you're there, and don't hold yourself back. Don't let yourself think you can't do something because it's too late. And just put in an effort and try and impress yourself and impress everyone around you. And like I said, don't think it's too late. I put a lot of pressure on myself when I was in college because I graduated in my 30s. I started college really late, and I kept thinking, no, it's too late for me. It's too late for me to do anything like that. But then where I am now, and you just got to put in an effort and just really try while you're there, and still enjoy yourself while you're in college. Don't just make it all about academia and work and stuff like that. Enjoy yourself, but really actually try to impress yourself with how good of a job you can do at something like that. Like Lance is going to have you do a couple projects here, the freelancer project, and I think writing a storyboard project or something like that. Yeah, try and impress Lance, but really try and impress yourself to see what you can do and see if you will enjoy the work you do. And then on top of that, like I said, network. I tried to talk to all my professors and make friends with them, and just pick their brains and ask them questions and be like, how did you get to where you are? What am I going to do here, or such and such? And I think those would be my words of advice. Hopefully they don't fall on deaf ears, but we'll see.
I also have two pieces of advice. One, advocate for yourself. Definitely advocate for yourself in the classroom and in your internship. I had a scenario in my internship where again, just brainstorming for the video ideas, and even the senior editors were not necessarily agreeing with what I had to say. And I think a little bit of that may have just been because of that mindset of, oh, you're just the intern or whatever, you're the intern, so you're here to learn. And I'm very much here to learn, but I'm also here to prove myself in a way and speak up for myself. And like I said, when you have the creative vision and you're just on fire and you're loyal to that vision, and at the best interest of the company, it's gonna work. Say that for sure. Definitely say that. And in the classroom too, for your grades and in the work you're doing, different things like that. The other thing is to, have fun. Have fun in school, in college. I think something that got to me was when everybody was asking me, so what do you want to do? What's the move after college? And I'm actually still figuring that out. Professor Schmeidler and I literally had a talk on the phone about this, I think last week or a few weeks ago, and it was very, very helpful. So he's definitely great to talk to as well. But yeah, have fun. And if you don't know what you want to do still quite yet, that is okay. Don't let people tell you it's not okay to not know. It's not true, because that's what you're in college for, to figure it out. So
Yeah, these are great points, and it's hard to add to them. But yeah, all of you are right. Networking, whether it's on campus, joining a club, is going to be a fantastic way to not only make connections as through varying degrees, but if you just find someone that has a job that you want, ask that person, hey, you do an awesome job at XYZ company. I'm, a rising senior freshman, and I want to do the work you do one day. Do you have 10 minutes for a phone call? They will probably say no, because a lot of people are busy. However, there are plenty of people that love to help people, probably like everybody here, because we want to make sure that all of you guys can succeed. So, if you can get 20 messages out to somebody, one of them is absolutely going to reach out to you, and it's a great opportunity to learn. And they might even have someone to get that connection to. So I had when I had a job at the Smithsonian, on my last day, we had a new coordinator, and I just was making conversation, just conversing with them. And I said, oh yeah, by the way, my mom works at a major broadcast company. You should talk to her, because she works for the company that you want to work for, just from putting yourself out there, talking to people. So networking is really important. Sometimes you have to hustle on LinkedIn, but just, talking with friends, networking, joining a club, is a great asset. But also making yourself useful, whether it's in school or at that internship, is going to be really useful for you. So I made myself useful in school, and that led me to have an opportunity to do a practicum, which is kind of like, instead of learning something, you're supposed to teach others how to do something, and then you learn how to, you learn some professional skills that you'll want to use in the workplace. That was really fun, because the entire practicum was basically how to make a Zoom call work without these types of hitches, where we did remote recording, because this was all during the COVID times. So that was something that was helpful then, but also was really useful for me in my professional workforce, because there's a lot of seasoned veterans that have absolutely no idea how Zoom works, how to make a call look good online. And I'm very comfortable doing that. So that, making yourself useful is important, but also talk to your professors, because although it's their job to kind of grind you down a bit, say, hey, you did everything here wrong, because I want to make it right. Speaking with them in the beginning of the semester is going to be way better than saying, hey, I really want that A. Can you just give me some free points? They are not going to want to hear that. But if you show them that you're interested in their class, the field, and you ask them for help, for favors, by the end of the semester, they are probably going to say, you know what, they have really shown dedication, and maybe their writing, the writing section on their exam wasn't perfect. I'll still give them full credit, because that 100% happened to me. I bombed one of my exams, and I got 100% on the written section, because obviously they just seemed to, they knew that I was doing my best. So just things like that, show that you are trying, is another really important way to advance. So I hope that's a good way to close this out.
Thank you all so much for coming together with the class and sharing your experiences, your successes, your failures, and talking to us about what it's been like working in production so far for you. As you mentioned, some really important things. You're early in your career. So for you all, you're learning the ropes, as we say, but I just want to encourage you all to continue moving forward, those of us in the class as well, because it is a learning process. I've been working in this industry in the DC area in 20 years. I learn something new every day. And frankly, most of what I learn comes from my students. So I really appreciate everything that you bring into the classroom. And for the three of you, what you continue to bring me as a person, a teacher, and a professional. We've really worked hard in the classroom, and we're seeing a lot of benefits of the work too. Before we do one big wrap up, I did want to just offer a few minutes for an open Q&A. So these 10 questions are the ones we've generated as a class, but also wanted to give the three of you an opportunity to ask the class any questions you might have. I know you shared some words of wisdom, but do you happen to have any questions for the class? And feel free to open your mic and just jump in if you do. If not, that's okay too.
Sure, I'll ask a question. Anyone can answer. What are some bits of media background that you have in your life that got you interested in taking 208?
That's a wonderful question, Ricky, because we actually talked about that this morning before we joined our session. We kind of bounced around the room. I don't mean to answer for anyone, but we did go around the room and talk about why we're here. What are our motivations? And some of the motivations we heard or discussed were, for example, like have an interest in film, like maybe I like to watch films and I want to learn more about film. Some folks want to learn just to like take better pictures. I hear that often in this class, or take better video and selfies and the like. And for some folks, it's also encouragement from other people, including family members or maybe coworkers. And I know for some of us, we're in a process of discovery, or actually we all are, to be fair, discovering that a talent or an interest in this area too. Would anyone else care to share why you're here?
Initially, I kind of realized I wasn't a STEM major, and I tried engineering first. That didn't go very well. Switched over to bio. That didn't go well either. And after a while, I was like, okay, how about we try something that we actually like? So my church in Richmond, I've been doing media production things there, but I was like, let's take it on a bigger level, see if I can actually like make something out of a career of it. And now I'm looking forward to seeing what this course and other CoMM courses like the radio and podcast workshop have to offer.
Well, that's funny because I'm exactly kind of the same boat that you were in, because I started off as a physics major and then was like, no, that didn't work out. And then went into communications, then media production. And I also took that radio podcast workshop class too. And it's really good. So just know that there's something out there for you then. If I ended up this, like, I'm the bozo who ended up at NASA, then there's something definitely there for any one of you guys out there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so I could add on to that. So I also thought I was going to be a STEM guy, but I realized I hate math and I'm not good at it. But I do like the technical side of how things work, which is still a very important piece. So if you like, some of the parts about STEM and you're interested in, that topic, there's plenty of use for taking academic or concentrated information and then distilling that to kind of a wider audience. And media criticism, making videos, or even some social media work is also a very important and rapidly growing space for that, because a lot of lobbying groups are in this area. And I remember so I was in PRSSA in school, and they had someone working in the soybean industry, which is something that does not sound interesting, but it's amazing when you talk to people that know how to take that information and push that down the line. And they did a lot of really great work showing why soybeans might actually matter. And then some of that is biofuels, some of that is like how you can make your clothing, if I remember. But there are plenty of spaces where you can take those STEM fields or something that might feel far away from you and still apply that to your degree program and what you're passionate about.
I have a question that comes to mind. In your own words, not in like a technical way, like you don't have to be fancy with it, but why do you guys think that media communication is important to the work world? Like, and no matter what industry, like, why do you guys think that media is necessary? Media communication, really, yeah, or multimedia, but any of those.
I think communication is important in like business, like in terms of like PR and social outreach for like different companies, because like some people don't know what a company is about, and communication can really help with that.
Yeah, this is a very good question. Why are we comm majors? And then one of the panelists, I think it might have been you, Gabby, mentioned that within comm, we have public relations, journalism, media production, political communication, and so on. Why do we divide this comm discipline or field into these subdivisions here at George Mason? Not all schools are like that, by the way. Some have like a school of journalism, a school of public relations, and then like a general comm department. But here we made a concerted effort to keep those concentrations under the comm umbrella, if you will. And I can tell you, without getting too deep into the weeds of this, but one of the reasons that was intentional is because our place in the market, in the DC market, we aren't really trying to compete with like American University when it comes to media production or film production. We're not trying to compete with like a big journalism school, but what we are trying to do is provide an affordable, economical choice for students who can't go to those schools. And we're trying to provide a comparable experience and level of education to those programs without the price that goes with it. And we're trying to be more accessible. And I think that we are doing a good job so far. There's, of course, always things we can do more and do better. But that's been our mission in this department since its inception. Go ahead, Ricky.
Does anyone have a dream internship they're already kind of eyeing out or looking for at the end of their semester or college career?
I did I on sports. Sports agencies, my mom went to sports, so I like institutions for that, but you know, like
Yeah. Sure. I'm not sure if you could hear Makai, but he mentioned that he's interested in like some of the local sports networks that we have here in the DC area and has been applying for internships for those programs. We also have other sport teams here that aren't like the big leagues, so to speak. I live in Fredericksburg, and the Nationals have their low A team in Fredericksburg. So I had a student last semester that I connected there for an internship in the stadium. So that was a good experience. All right. Anything else? So a good question. So I just want to wrap up by thanking everybody again for their time today. This might be a little different than what you would get in another production class, but even if you're not really feeling all the value of this today, you will remember this conversation, even if it was just happening around you, because it's important. And we need to come with a drive and a focus and a determination to what we're doing in all of our classes. But when we come back, we're going to start our production work. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you all if you thought about starting your own enterprise together, and why not? For the three of you, now you're connected. Okay, as of today, you're connected. So I want you to consider that. And if you're something that you're interested in pursuing, I'm happy to be the liaison for the three of you.
Well, and speaking of connecting and networking, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn in the chat just in case anyone does, for some reason, need any help or anything like that. I may not be able to help entirely, but I can help. I can give whatever help I have. So if anyone does need that, so that's there. And yeah.
Yeah. I can also provide I can provide my LinkedIn. I don't have it copied and pasted, but if you want, I'll just put in my Instagram. You can just DM me. I know it's not the most professional, but I didn't have it copy and pasted, but that I do have memorized. So yeah, if you want, no pressure.
Yeah, and I'll say I got my LinkedIn here. So if anyone else wants to reach out to me, whether it's now or later in the semester, if you have any questions, or you want to, or just curious about something, this is a great way to start that networking. So hopefully we are all familiar faces, so it might be a little bit easier to get that ball rolling. But definitely big on networking, making those connections, because I like to help folks, and there's a lot of people out there in this room and out there that want to see others succeed.
All right. Well, again, thank you all so much.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me.
Lance. Thanks. Good luck, everyone. Take it easy.